Hi everyone, Sarah here, one of your clinical prosthetists and manager of technical support and global clinical communications with Freedom Innovations. Today's webinar replay is on our composite foot portfolio and is hosted by another one of our clinical prosthetists, Matthew Nelson. If you would like additional information on our hydraulic ankle offerings, that's a separate webinar you can view as well. For additional online CEUs that are free and available whenever you are, please visit our website, freedom-innovations.com.pno data and sign up there. For ABC CEUs, we will automatically submit on your behalf. If you're looking for BOC and state licensure, after you pass the quiz that is linked at the end of this video, you will receive a certificate that you can submit to the boards for your hours. Thank you again for your interest in our webinar.
Hello, everyone, and good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are in the U.S. My name is Eric Ferris, head of marketing here at Freedom Innovations. I want to welcome you to our latest installment of the Freedom Hour. And again, those of you who have kind of, I guess, called in to these sessions in the past know that the goal of this is really to really distill down critical information that we think is beneficial to you in the management and the growth of your practice, and to kind of put that into a 60-minute soundbite. So it's kind of like a Cliff Notes version of key information. And how we define the information that we present is really from you. We've reached out to many of you, and we really started this program back when this whole COVID-19 disruption started. And so we've kind of had three segments to it. The first part really was oriented around kind of our product portfolio, really focused in on helping everyone get the CEU credits that they needed as these regional and national shows started to cancel as a result of COVID. We then started talking to many of you and talking about what information would be really valuable in addition to kind of product-oriented CEU stuff, and we evolved into kind of COVID-related topics. So, we talked about financing options in the PPP program and other things like that. We talked about, basic project management and how to maintain productivity in a downturn. We had one about goal setting, right? Because work-life balance is different, it was different than ever before with the quarantines that were implemented throughout the country. And so as we kind of got through that, and you now see all 50 states kind of partially reopening, we really have converted a lot of our content now into what I would call growth topics. So we had a discussion a couple weeks ago around patient care and how do you really personalize patient care. Those fundamentals that I think are helpful. Other side is, how has some of our patient care protocols been modified as a result of COVID? We had a discussion last week on social media and kind of critical elements of setting up your website and expanding your network. And then over the next few weeks, we'll have one on PT, physical therapy, around how that can assist with component justification. And then we'll have one on amputee advocacy, and that will kind of complete our June curriculum. The reason I bring all that up, all of those are online, and all of those are associated with CEU credits. So if any of you are interested in those topics or in need of more CEUs, please visit our website, so Freedom Innovations, freedom-innovations.com/events. And those are all listed online for you. Hopefully that'll be of service to and of benefit to many of you. So today's topic, we're actually returning to a product presentation. We had a number of people ask us for this information. We said, all right, we will respond. So Matthew Nelson, who is a member of our team, obviously CPO, is going to take us through our foot portfolio in all aspects of our world of feet. So Matthew, with that, I'll turn it over to you for your presentation.
Appreciate it, Eric. And just a sound check, Sarah, you can hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Great, perfect. Appreciate everybody joining the call today. As Eric mentioned, I am going to get back to more of a product-related webinar for today. We're going to talk about our feet specifically. And this course will be 1.5 CEUs for you guys. And as we go through this, we'll have some videos that I'll show you, and also we'll have a few polls that we just want to get some feedback regarding the feet you guys are using. So just a little bit of history about me. I joined the Freedom Clinical team May of 2015, and prior to that, I ran a clinic in Atlanta, Georgia, which is still my home, for about 20 years. So I've been around, been in the field since around 1993, and can still recall back in my days, early when I started, got out of school, fitting Seattle light feet, still fitting Satch feet, just started dabbling in the carbon fiber arena. So obviously a lot has changed since those days. Here at Freedom, we have, I think my last count was, 26 different feet. And so the goal of this course today is a number of things we're going to talk about, but really to get you guys familiar with what we have to offer. I would say one of my roles at Freedom is technical and clinical assistance, and probably the calls that I get the most are foot selection, maybe troubleshooting, category selection, that type of thing. So I definitely have a better understanding of product properties and foot properties and stuff like that than I did when I was in the field. So let's jump into it. It's about 60 slides. Again, I'll have some videos and some polls, and at the end we'll take some questions. All right, so objectives of the course, again, highlight Freedom's unique design features. Number 2 is a super important aspect of optimal prosthetic foot usage would be bench alignment. I think we all are taught how to do this in school, but certainly each manufacturer, I think, has different recommendations for their feet, so we'll talk about that. Third thing would be understanding our product categories. So we have a lot of different categories of feet for you guys to use for your patients. And then the last thing we'll talk about is how you guys select the optimal foot for your patient. So a couple things really quickly is in terms of Freedom Innovations, we are headquartered, corporate headquarters in Irvine, California, and our manufacturing of our feet and the plie knee is in Gunnison, Utah. I visited the facility when I first started with Freedom, and it's really interesting just to see, how much workmanship goes into the different feet that are made. There's a lot of, man-made, like people working at benches, really getting dirty and making these feet and doing layups for carbon fiber and fiberglass. But it's a really neat place to visit. So first section, materials and features. I'm going to show you guys a video just to kind of show you what happens in Gunnison during the manufacturing process. I will warn you that the video may play loud, so just be prepared to monitor your volume. And during the video, I won't be able to talk. So let's go to play the first video here.
To make high-functioning carbon fiber products that will perform reliably, Freedom Innovations uses manufacturing techniques leveraged from the team's experience in the aerospace industry. A mix of precision machinery and handmade artisan work results in some of the best quality products available today. Because with all the high-tech equipment, there are still some operations that are better done with a human hand than with an automated machine. So the Freedom Innovations process is really a blend of automated procedures and hands-on human skill. Precise quality standards are followed throughout the manufacturing process, whether it's material selection, layup techniques, temperature controls, or final assembly. Every detail makes a difference. Fibers are laid down in specific patterns that are proprietary to Freedom Innovations, ensuring optimal dynamics and performance. Carbon fiber subcomponents are assembled with flexible materials and epoxy rather than fasteners, so the performance of the final product will be seamless and stable. And finally, when a Freedom Innovations prosthetic foot product comes out of the manufacturing process, it's tested, and tested again to make sure that it will perform as expected. The ultimate goal is to produce carbon fiber foot products that give amputees the very best modern technology has to offer, so they're free to live more active, healthy lives.
Okay, I should be back. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Just a couple of things I'll mention about the video. We keep a certain number of our feet and our products, ready to be shipped. There are some SKUs that are outside of our typical stock based on kind of the order history. So just know that if you guys order like a specialized size, that it takes time to have to make it to certain specs. And again, it's people, laying up the layers of carbon fiber and fiberglass. So it's not always something we can ship out the same day if it's an unusual size. Anyways, all right. So the next slide is the Freedom differences. Just a couple things. We have a Freedom Innovation started in 2002. Freedom actually came from, if you guys remember, the Flex Foot company in California. So we've got these design principles that have been around for years, but one thing that we have when we make our feet is we have these full-length heel sections and keel sections with no bolts to really interrupt the layup itself. And so what that leads to is, we believe, this design, we have a smoother rollover. In addition to that, no dead spots created by the bolts within the design itself. So again, with the no bolts, the other thing that allows us to do is make lighter weight feet. So again, fewer parts, and we utilize this stuff called super wrap. So the super wrap holds the different carbon components together to include the heel and the keel sections. So it makes it very lightweight and durable. So sandal toe options, I'm sure everybody on the call here is aware of sandal toe. We have a lot of different feet. I'm not going to list out all the different feet that we have available in sandal toe, but it's quite a few of our feet. The benefit really of the sandal toe option is obviously aesthetics. If you're wearing depending on what part of the country you guys live in, if somebody wants to wear flip-flops that you modify for them or what have you, then certainly this to me is a more realistic foot or presentation. Also, we've not really found a durability difference between a sandal toe and a non-sandal toe foot. So certainly it's a very good option for your patient. A few other things about the sandal toe foot shell. So we actually make our foot shells in-house. We've got several different types. The one thing that you need to know is the sandal toe version is available in size 22 to 28 centimeter. It comes in 3 different skin tones, and we call them light, medium, and dark. The only thing about the sandal toe foot shell that is not currently available is it doesn't come with a cap. And so the benefit of the cap is it makes it a little bit easier if you guys are, and I see a little bit, less of this nowadays than I used to, but doing a cosmetic cover, you would attach it to the cap on the foot shell. So again, if you order a sandal toe foot shell, it's not available in the cap version currently. So I want to talk about alignment basics. So this is something that's quite honestly, I probably have a little bit more time to analyze and pay attention to, but just the importance of kind of getting back to the basics. I think, here at Freedom, we recommend most of our feet have what we call an alignment line or weight line that bisects your socket, whether it's transfemoral or transtibial or knee disc articular, what have you. But essentially, the weight line is falling through what we call the anterior dome of the pyramid. If you guys can see my screen and the cursor. I think some of the issues or some of the calls I get about category issues is I think people may default to the weight line going through the pyramid itself. So again, with our feet, we recommend the anterior dome of the pyramid with pretty much all of our feet except the connects that I'm aware of. So again, really paying attention to where that alignment line hits. The other thing that I really like to do is I like to make sure that when the foot is in the shoe itself, that this pyramid is parallel to the bench, and then once it's parallel to the bench, that you have that alignment line at the anterior dome of the pyramid. I just find that the static and dynamic alignment is so much easier when you've done this. It's just really getting back to the basics with our feet. So build height and weight. This is kind of small. I'm not sure if you guys can read this or not. It's certainly not something you have to memorize. We have a lot of different resources for you guys, whether it's online or maybe one of our reps has given you guys this information. But it's just really important to know, the different feet, what sizes they come in, the build height, the weight of the foot. It really helps you guys select the foot for your patient. If you know your patient has a clearance of 4 inches, then you're going to be limited to what you can choose from this list. It's really an important thing to look at. And again, it's in the catalog, it's online. If you guys need one, certainly we can send you one. So category selection, this is pretty straightforward process here. With step 1 is you determine your patient's impact level, and then step 2 you identify the stiffness or the category. So what we've done is our clinical team is selected what we think are low impact level activities and then moderate and high. My default when I was in clinical practice was almost always moderate. And I think that's probably fine. If you want to dig a little deeper, let's just say your patient, weighed 165 pounds, and they're really focused more on golfing and gardening, then we would consider that low impact. So you would go to your 165 pound category or section here, and it would be a category 4. I will say that as you learn our feet, you might. I know for me, I always thought the Renegade was maybe on the stiffer side of this category, and then maybe the Maverick or the fiberglass series was a little bit softer. So maybe what you learned, based on your selection and using the feet, you just figure out, hey, I'm gonna default to moderate for this type of foot, but I'm gonna default to the 6 or the high level for this type of foot. So it's just a good starting point. The one thing I will say, and we talk about it on the next slide, if you've verified that your alignment is correct, in other words, you've got your weight line bisected your socket through the anterior dome of the pyramid, you can always make the heel stiffer. So I tend to err on the lower category because you can stiffen up the foot itself, the heel. If you go too stiff, you really can't make the foot softer. So again, if there's a question, I would tend to go a category down, and then you can add these heel bumpers. We also, the one thing I want to mention about the heel bumper is, for me, again, during my when I was in clinical practice, I would tend to just push the bumper until it met the keel and the heel section, and I think that's fine. I actually can even remember cases, and I'll admit this, that I would separate the heel and the keel section and kind of shove it between the two to make it even stiffer. That's not ideal because it puts a lot of pressure on what we call the super wrap, which is what holds the keel and the heel section together. So again, the furthest I would go is where it touches. But we do actually have per foot, we've got recommendations for if you place the bumper in a certain location, it's going to increase the heel stiffness by 1 category. The other thing I would say is if you do want to make it like a permanent bond, we recommend that you actually remove the bumper and you go through this process of sanding the carbon fiber or fiberglass and actually gluing the bumper so it doesn't move. Otherwise, if you have somebody that's really active and they get in water, this bumper is probably going to separate at some point. So there is a science behind these heel stiffening bumpers. All right, so product properties. So one of my roles at Freedom is I'm the coding and reimbursement manager. I knew a little bit about this, just from my clinical days of 20 years of practice, L coding and AOPA and Pediatric and that kind of thing. I've learned a lot more over the last 5 years. For the most part, when I was in clinical practice, I would for the most part trust the manufacturer's recommendations. Kind of didn't really know where they came from. Really didn't know, when Pediatric was required for prosthetics. How AOPA impacted coding. I now know this a lot better. So basically, and you can actually Google this foot project, but there's something called the AOPA foot project. And what it was an effort to objectively define functional requirements to meet L code definitions. And it was started in 2007 at the behest of SADMERC, which is actually no longer. SADMERC was a part of Noridian, I believe, but now it's called Pediatric, and Pediatric is a part of Palmetto. But it was started in 2007 and it was finished in 2010. And basically what it was an effort to try to define L codes. So in other words, foot codes specifically like 5987, 5980, and really have like standard measurement guidelines for the different feet. Because I find I travel quite a bit, or I used to before the pandemic, but I find that people have different opinions of vertical shock. They have different opinions of what an 81 is. They have different opinion what a 5980 is, and so there's too many variations. So this was a process by which they wanted to try to make this happen, where it's more standard. These standards are definitely adopted by Freedom. I think they're adopted by most manufacturers. But what I will say is this foot project was not officially adopted by CMS. What I will say to that is PDAC verification is not actually required for any prosthetic feet currently, other than I think it's L59 69, which is the powered ankle system. So, you know, your 80s and your 81s and your 87s, you don't have to have PVAC verification currently. So the thing I will add is you can, you know, this standard that was developed, and I'll show you guys a couple slides on what the standard looks like. There's a within the AOPA website, there's an L code search tab that you can go on, and a lot of manufacturers have all their feet listed, as well as you know orthotic components as well. But you can go and you know, we submit our technical testing data to AOPA to gain this AOPA verification for our feet, and all, you know, these testing results are available for all of our feet. So the bottom line is we do have a standard that we test our feet to. They have to meet certain standards, and again, these standards came from this foot project that started in 2007. So just a couple slides on what, you know, an example of what some of this stuff looks like. And you know, all these testing parameters, I had no idea what they were when I was in the field. You know, again, working for a manufacturer, I've learned a lot more details, which I appreciate. But essentially what you're doing from an AOPA foot project standpoint is you're submitting the foot to a certain force, and then the keel and the heel and the vertical load has to reach certain limitations or minimums. And so that's what we, you know, again, we test all of our vertical shock feet to this standard here. And then from a multi-axle standpoint, again, the same amount of force applied to the foot, and you have to have a minimum of 10 degrees of dorsiflexion, 8 degrees of plantar flexion, 8 degrees of inversion with this test here for you to be able to recommend the L5986 billing code for your foot. So that's just two examples of the testing that is used for the AOPA foot project. So the Freedom Foot portfolio. So you know, basically the foot categories that we have should all look familiar to everybody on the call, I'm thinking. You know, pretty standard L5987, L5980, L5981, so the flex foot, the flex walk. 5976 is your energy storing. 5972 is flexible keel, then specialty feet, which is mostly miscellaneous coating feet. So these are our different categories that we currently have available here at Freedom. So this is going to be our first poll. So if you guys are, hopefully you're in front of your computer, if you guys can just be prepared, we're going to submit a poll just to get some feedback on which code or which category of foot did you fit the most. So Sarah, I'll let you start the poll.
Yep, it's up.
Okay. Answers coming in.
Yep, we're coming in. We'll probably give it about, I'd say 5 more seconds. We'll close.
Okay.
So it looks like, Matthew, we have about 50%. So about half of people chose your L5981. Next up is going to be your L5980 at 18%. And then the bottom two tied at 14% is the L5987 and the L5972.
That's interesting. I would not have expected that. So you're saying more 81s. So half of the people chose 81.
Yep, 50% chose your 5981.
Interesting. Okay. That's good. That's interesting to know. I would have guessed more 80s and 87s. Okay. Next slide here is we're going to talk about the different categories that we have available here at Freedom. So vertical shocks, the 5987 is our first category here. So we've got kind of a guide that we actually, you know, it's certainly available for you guys. I think we actually put it in when we ship feet. I think we put this in the box. But these are basically what we decided to do is list out our vertical shock feet to include Maverick Extreme, the Renegade series, the Silhouette VS series, and the Freedom Agilix, and kind of give you guys an idea of, you know, kind of what those feet were designed for, who they were designed for. So if you look at this, the Maverick Extreme is really, you know, meant for your your more extreme user, so you're kind of your moderate to high K3 level patients, your Renegade LP AT and LP AT, which is low profile and all terrain, kind of, you're all of your moderate level, up to a pretty high level patient, silhouette VS, low to, all the way through the moderate category. And then your Freedom Agilix, which may surprise some people. Again, these are all 59 to 87 feet. They're all for K3 level ambulators, but the Agilix is really designed for kind of your low K3, so still variable cadence, still active individual, but really people that do more walking, golfing, biking, dancing, not your high impact level activities. So again, knowing that people still probably go outside of this range of recommendations, this is just how we designed the feet. But again, they're all rated to 365. They all carry a warranty. But just to give you guys a better guide for these feet. So I want to talk about choice of materials, why you would select carbon fiber versus fiberglass. The one thing I'll mention is again, Freedom was basically founded or started in 2002, and we're a carbon fiber foot company. That's kind of what we're based on. So obviously we know carbon fiber well. We have also dealt with fiberglass for a number of years. We have something called EnduraCore that I don't have a slide on that, but basically it's a layer of fiberglass sandwiched in between two layers of carbon fiber. I mentioned that just to, I guess, just to talk about the fact that we've actually we've worked with fiberglass for a number of years. We didn't just start working with fiberglass when we came out with the Maverick series over 3 years ago. But specifically why you would use one versus the other, for me, I always like to say that the phrase I like to use, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you might think that somebody is a great carbon fiber candidate, but they trial a fiberglass foot and they love it, or vice versa. So to me, really letting the patient test drive and make a decision is probably the best route. But if you don't have the ability to trial different feet and you have to make a decision or a selection for your patient, your carbon fiber is really more for your quick load activities. It rebounds quickly. Maybe like a runner or a tennis player. I think that from a running standpoint, I don't know that you'll ever see a running foot made completely out of fiberglass, just because it doesn't rebound as quickly. It would probably tend to feel a little bit too flexible for a patient from a running standpoint. So for fiberglass, it's really more of your slow load activities where you just don't need like this quick load response, but it's very good under load. So fiberglass actually, it flexes and it deflects better and more than carbon fiber. So I'd say it's less brittle, but it's a more flexible material, which could be good or not good. I would say for activities like weightlifting, snowboarding, it would be an ideal selection for your patient. The other thing is carbon fiber tends to be lighter weight, and the reason why it's lighter weight is you have to basically, when you laminate the recipe per foot per category, like there's less layers when you use carbon fiber than when you use fiberglass. So again, in order to make the same category of foot with fiberglass as carbon fiber, you have to use more layers, so it tends to be heavier. I will say this: if you guys have felt or seen one of our fiberglass feet, I think the difference in weight is pretty. It's not super noticeable. So I think we did a really good job with the design of the Maverick foot to where it still feels very lightweight. But if durability is the most important thing, then, and I would say if they've had a history of breaking carbon fiber, I mean, our Renegade foot is a tried and true foot that's super durable. But if they've got a history of breaking feet, I would certainly consider fiberglass, because again, it has better stretch properties over a long term. All right, so our next poll that I'm gonna let Sarah start up here in a second. Do you fit more carbon fiber or fiberglass feet? Okay, we'll start that, Sarah.
It's up and running. We got
All
people answering already.
Cool. I'm gonna guess it's carbon fiber, but based on the last poll, I don't know.
Are we making any bets, or is that not fair because I can see the numbers?
We're not gonna bet because I can't see it.
All right, we're gonna do about 5 more seconds here.
All right.
All right, so it looks like Matthew wins the bet that didn't exist. We have 59% carbon fiber. Next up is going to be 33% that said it depends on the patient, and 7% that picked mostly fiberglass.
Okay, interesting. I'd be curious to know the fiberglass, the reason why. I mean, I in my travels, again, it's either haven't tried them before. It might be they've tried them once before and they didn't like it, or I do hear a lot of people talk about energy storage and return. We've actually analyzed the two materials, and we believe that the storage and return percentage is the same with both materials. It's just that the carbon fiber returns it quicker. But again, I've had good success with the fiberglass foot so far. All right, so the next shock foot I want to talk about is the Agilix. That's again 59, 87, 86 foot. So again, 87 is your vertical shock, which means it meets the AOPA standards for that code based on the foot project, and then the 86 again, same scenario. We've tested, and it meets that criteria for the AOPA foot project. So again, really, for your lowest impact level K3 that is a candidate for a vertical shock foot. So this, again, I hear different opinions about this 87 code. Like some people think it needs to be like a really active patient. The code reads specifically, the HCPCS code reads that it's a K3, code. It doesn't say they have to be like high or low. So again, as long as they can walk with variable cadence or have the potential to walk with variable cadence, and they benefit from vertical shock, then you guys could use this foot. But again, I think it's our #1 selling vertical shock foot. But the Agilix is a really nice foot option for this low to moderate K3 candidate. Silhouette VS and Silhouette VS LP. So again, same coding as the Agilix 87, 86. I kind of feel like this is a forgotten foot. I think I use them mostly for bilaterals just because of the weight. They're so lightweight. I just like the just a lightweight option for bilateral amputee. Also, if you're going to be doing a cosmetic cover, they're super duper easy to cover. Also, you do get some deflection from this carbon shank. So I think that, in addition to the vertical shock and this sole plate design, which gives you multi-axial motion, this vertical shank, I think you're getting motion from that as well. So it's a really good option. So again, so shock feet, so high impact, going back to our chart there, if you guys can remember what the chart looked like. So high impact Renegade and Renegade AT. Again, 87 again meets the AOPA standards, and then 87, 86 for this one. So the difference is this has got the all-terrain split keel design that you get more multi-axial motion. With the standard Renegade, you don't get enough to meet the AOPA standards. So again, if you're going to select the Renegade, just from a billing standpoint, you're going to get an extra code if you go with the AT design. Okay, and again, this foot's been around for a number of years. It's a tried and true product. That's a very good product. All right, so the highest impact level, again, from that chart is the Maverick series. I was a clinical lead on this, really had a good time learning about the material. It's been out for, I think around 4 years. I don't remember the exact release date, but again, Maverick Extreme and Extreme AT. So again, you've got the solid keel here, and then you've got the split keel here. I would tend to recommend the non-split keel if the patient, maybe if they've ever happened to break a Maverick Extreme AT, then I would move them to the solid keel to reduce or actually to increase durability. I prefer this version just from the amount of movement. But even with the solid keel, unlike the Renegade, you actually get enough motion to recommend the 86 code per AOPA standards. Okay. All right, so we're going to show a video here. Hopefully I can figure this out, Sarah. Let's see, I'm going to go to just a short video on the Maverick Extreme here. Okay. I should be back. So again, the purpose of the video is just to show you guys, that would, to me, would be a really good candidate for the Extreme, Maverick Extreme. I'm not saying you couldn't use a carbon fiber foot, but I'm just, if like I was selecting a patient or a foot for a patient, and that's the kind of stuff that I knew they like to do based on my evaluation, that they, consistently just loaded and unloaded, then I think it'd be a really good option for increased durability. Okay, so we're going to get into the Flex foot system, 5980, and as you guys probably know, there's a ton of different options for this code, across all manufacturers. Kind of getting to know, what this foot does. It is a K3 level foot. Maybe from an insurance standpoint, you can't bill an 87, so you've got to go the 80 route. Still a lot of good options. Our first is the Silhouette, which actually looks very similar to the Silhouette VS. It just doesn't get quite as much vertical shock, and so we have to recommend the 5980 instead of the 87 for this foot. But again, kind of similar uses with this foot. Again, very lightweight. It's got this vertical or this carbon shank that is very dynamic. So still a very good foot option for this category. Next one is the Dynadapt. A really solid 5980 design that we still, it's been around for years. It was actually redesigned not too long ago, and we'll talk about that. But again, a very good foot. A great walking foot, a lot of good flexibility. It's very slim, has a slim profile for ease of finishing for a cosmetic cover. And so what I want to mention about the redesign of the Dynadapt. So basically what we did is we, working for a manufacturer, if you have, we keep for lack of better terms, a log of warranty issues. Maybe it came back, we just noticed that there's an issue with the pyramid and the bolts. That's the kind of stuff we're going to fix. And so we went to an all titanium pyramid system here with these stainless steel bolts. The function, the layup, and the geometry of the foot itself, the keel and the heel section does not change. So if you guys order the new version versus an old version, and have seen them both, you probably wouldn't notice the difference, because you're still gonna get the same performance but increased durability. And I just want to mention just briefly that this legacy engineering project, basically what it is just internal improvements to better the quality of our feet. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to launch this marketing campaign to talk about the new Dynadapt. It just means we're doing internal improvements that we do consistently for our feet with the plie knee, the different products we have. So Flex Walk. So this is the number one used foot, correct, Sarah? So 50% of people, this is what they were kind of go-to Flex Walk system. Tends to be a lower profile foot. This was my recollection of Freedom, when Freedom first started. Was they had these 3 feet, and it's called the FS 1000, 2000, 3000. I always got them confused. I mean, it probably was pretty simple. I'm guessing this is a 1000. This is probably the 2000. This is the 3000, but I always got them confused. So just because of me, I'm just kidding. They renamed the feet Sierra, Highlander, and Pacifica. And again, they're all 5981 feet. We still sell quite a few of these. The Highlander is a great transfemoral foot. The Pacifica, when you're lacking a lot of clearance, it's a good option for your patient. Even with the low profile design, you're still getting some good action. So these were the 3 original feet, I believe, from Freedom. So special cases. So again, L5981. I will mention this really quickly. So this is actually a PDAC verified foot. So we actually did send this to PDAC for verification. We actually sent it to PDAC, I believe, as a 5980 and 86, and it came back as an 81. So it actually meets the standards for AOPA for an 80, 86, but because we sent it to PDAC and we got awarded this code, this is what we recommend. So this is what I would definitely use for this foot if you're billing, especially if you're billing Medicare. But anyways, for special cases, we have a foot called the Highlander Max, which is essentially just like the Highlander, except it's laid up. It's a special. It's not something we keep in stock. We make it per patient. But again, it's called the Highlander Max. and the weight limit is 500 pounds. Second special cases foot would be the Pacifica LP. It looks very similar to the Pacifica. It's just even a little bit lower profile. Again, the same billing code as the Pacifica 5981. All right, so our next poll, Sarah. So how often do you utilize a low profile 5981 foot? So I'm guessing based on the last poll, it's a lot. But I guess let's go ahead and roll this poll, Sarah.
Yep, we got it up, and it's divided into an estimate of 0 to 25% of the time, 26 to 50%, 51 to 75, and 76 to 100.
Okay.
We got about 5 more seconds.
Okay.
And we will take a look at those. So it was 50-50 at the beginning, but 26 to 50% won out. So 50% of the people that responded said that it's, about a quarter to half the time. Next one at 42% is going to be 0 to 25% of the time. So only 8% of the people use it 51 to 75% of the time, and no one said 76 to 100%. So we're
okay.
almost an even split there.
Okay, that's good feedback.
Yeah, for
cool.
sure.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. All right, so continuing on here, so 5981 feet, so comfort in walking feet. So again, this is your flex walk system. The Promenade is a 5981 foot, and then also the Maverick Comfort AT is an 8186. So again, I've said this numerous times, but again, the 86 code is because of the AOPA foot standards that the Promenade does not meet, but the Comfort AT does meet with the split keel, and then also the flexibility of the fiberglass. I was part of the team that developed this foot as well at Freedom. Just had a lot of really good feedback during the trials. Just one of my patients that I used to see when I was in clinical practice, just his statement to me was the most comfortable walking foot he'd ever walked on. So I don't know. For me, I encourage people, if they, for whatever reason, if they have an opinion of fiberglass, I just have seen enough situations where people just love it that I think it's worth trying. It's not for everybody, but that certainly it's a good product. All right, so the Thrive, this was actually another foot that we sent to Pediatric for verification. I won't spend a ton of time on that, but I only mentioned it because I get a lot of questions on the code for the Thrive, because it really looks like, the build height and the appearance of the foot certainly looks more like an 8087, but it came back as an award of the 81 code, which is not ideal, but it's a really cool design. It's got this secondary keel. The purpose of that is designed for, just the example I would use actually could be even the guy that does the box jumps if he's a weight lifter or like a UPS driver, and pretty consistently lifts additional weight that obviously makes him heavier and puts more impact on the foot. It just offers a secondary keel that gives additional supports that puts less stress on this primary keel. So it's a really cool design. Again, it is PDAC verified for 5981. There could be an opportunity, depending on the payer, that you could look into billing this miscellaneous coding. That's something I could help with if you guys need more information on that additional code. But from a Medicare standpoint, certainly you're just going to be billing a 5981 code. So heel height adjustability. This is another coding thing we'll talk about. But again, the runway, we have a push button design, which I would think most people would be familiar with. You push the button on the side and you can adjust the ankle from 0 to 2 inches. And then you have this hex key, this formula hex key wrench adjustment. So you can, rather than having the push button, you have this hex key that you turn to increase or decrease the heel height. To each his own. I kind of went back and forth. This one with the push button, if they use it a lot and there's a cosmetic cover, which in a lot of cases, if somebody wants a runway, they probably have a cosmetic cover because they're probably a professional. Just that's what I think of, that they would have it covered with a skin on. Kind of the action of pushing it a lot, would maybe tend to separate the cover from the foot shelf. It's not glued properly, so it might be better to, if you score a hole in the skin and the cosmetic cover, and just use a 4 mil wrench. But really, to me, one's not better than the other. It's just really more of what the patient or the prosthetist prefers. So again, 5981. One thing I'll mention is, and I personally think it's ridiculous, but Medicare doesn't pay for this 5990 code anymore. Personally, I think I feel strongly that it's medically necessary. I mean, you can't expect somebody to wear the same shoe all the time if they unfortunately lost their leg. So, having this adjustability, I think is pretty important, but it does make it a little bit challenging to deliver this foot because you're dealing with this code you can't bill. So if it's a payer that follows Medicare guidelines, you're probably going to get denied that code. Okay, so specialty feet. So we have one pediatric foot. It's called a Defender. It's based off it should look pretty similar to the Highlander and the Highlander Max, but it's the C-shaped foot design, which is this is a really nice design. It just gives really good heel compression and a lot of good rollover and energy return and storage and return. But again, it's based off that design, and it's a 5981. You actually can request, I think the sizing for the Defender is 16 to 21 centimeters. So if you have an adult that is smaller than our adult Highlander sizing, then you could go with the pediatric version, which is the Defender. We can put an adult pyramid on top, but that is a specialty item. And then we have the LP Symes, which is an L5981. For the most part, I would say, the Symes level amputation is obviously, or I would think, it's kind of a regional thing, but certainly where I live in Atlanta, there's not as many Symes amputations. So usually the people you're fitting these on have had, prosthesis for years, but definitely not selling as many of these as we did 10 years ago. So energy storing feet. I would say, again, when I first got out of school and was recommending prescriptions or feet to the patients, I did a lot of these energy storing options, but there's a lot of really good options available outside this code. But we do have one, so it's called the Senator. Again, it is L5976 recommended based on AOPA standards. Really good, nice design, up to 300 pounds with a 24-month warranty. So again, that's an energy storing foot. Flexible keel foot, so L5972, and the Walk Tech. So this is a K2 level foot. So again, 5972, and then the 86 as well. So it does meet AOPA standards for the 86 code. Really cool design though. It's got these bumpers. It's got this really nice stable base of support with this multi-axial motion. But again, that's the Walk Tech K2 level foot. Okay, next the specialty feet, and the first specialty foot is the slalom ski foot. Pretty unique design. I don't know of one like it that's available, but it's basically replaces the ski boot itself. And if you were to order one, we would need to have the boot brand and size when you order the foot to make sure we get the proper layup for you. And then this is actually not currently approved for any kind of competitive use in skiing. Freestyle swim foot, really, another really unique foot design that we have. Stainless steel construction for water submersibility. It's got two positions, a 3/8 of an inch heel for walking from point A to point B. This is not really meant for an everyday walking foot. Can you walk on this? You can, but again, it's meant for short distances. But again, it's designed for swimming. And then the second position is the 70 degrees of plantar flexion. So again, it's got this mechanism that you unlock the ankle, and then you can articulate it to 70-degree plantar flex position, which is fixed. And again, that's if somebody were to go swimming and they had a fin on, like a diver, for example. So getting into our running feet. So again, this is again still within our specialty section. So this is the miscellaneous code feet. The Nitro was our first introduction into the running feet market, and we have two versions. We have a tall version, which is 9.5 inches, and then we have a short version, which is 7.25 inches. And again, it's a pyramid top attachment to the socket. Weight limit is 365 pounds, and it has a 12-month warranty. It's called the Nitro. And then our second one, which came out after the Nitro, is called the Catapult. And the build height on this one is similar to the tall version of the Nitro, so it's 9.5 inches. Same weight limit, same warranty. The biggest difference that I think is really innovative is it has these power springs. And so the concept is, and I'll talk about it on the next slide, but you get, if you order a Category 3 Catapult, you're going to get a Category 3 power spring installed, and then you're also going to get a 2 and a 4. So you have some adjustability. Your patient can try it, and if they want to make it stiffer or softer, you can change out the power spring. So the design concept behind this power spring, not to get too much into the technical information here, but it can provide up to a 30% increase in energy return. So this is kind of your standard. The red section is essentially the energy storage and return you get from a standard C-shaped running foot. With the power spring, you're getting the same amount of from the standard C-shaped spring, but you're also getting this additional energy storage and return from the dual spring mechanism within the foot itself. So it's pretty neat. Okay, and I've got a video coming up here to show you the foot in action. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the video here and show you a young lady. Her name is Amy Dotson. She's an ultra marathon runner, and she wears the Catapult foot for her running purposes.
I've run 5K races all the way to ultra marathons. The longest distance that I've completed is a 50-mile race. And recently I've started running on the Catapult. It's an amazing product. One of the first times that I ran on the Catapult, I was visiting a friend in Santa Barbara, and I went out on my normal route that I take there. It's about a 10-mile, 5 miles out, 5 miles back. What was a planned 10-miler turned into about 16 miles. And I know it was because of the Catapult. It was so much easier, so much energy is being saved using this foot. I just hope that not too many of my competitors get a hold of this foot.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and move on to questions from you guys. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a little piece there that says questions. And so if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and type those into that little box there, and it will come through to us, and we can go ahead and answer these for you guys. So it looks like we have one question already, and it is, any thoughts to have a foot that can have a shoe sole directly on the foot? Have seen several outdoor active individuals that use the foot shell alone and no shoe. So as of right now, we're always, improving our products. We love to have feedback from you guys about what you would like to see and what you would like to be able to have out there. So all of these ideas that you guys have, please let us know, and we will forward those to our design teams, and we will definitely keep all of those in mind for you.
Hey, Sarah, I'm back if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. I moved to questions.
Well, actually, it was the second to last slide, so
okay.
We didn't miss a ton.
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good. Okay, do you wanna finish what you're saying about the Catapult?
Yeah, can you yeah. So what did you hear?
Basically, you said you were gonna say something about the Catapult.
Okay. All right, great. All right. So you can still hear me, right?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, yeah. So the only thing I wanted to mention on the Catapult and the Nitro, when you guys, if and when you order one of those feet for your patients, there's a temporary tread that comes on it. So if you can use that tread for static dynamic alignment, but before the patient leaves your office, you'll need to add a permanent tread of your choice. You can either, I've used a lot of different methods. You can cut a shoe in half. You can adhere that to the foot, or you can add a tread of your choice. But it's meant to be a temporary tread and not to send your patient out with it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And we went through the CEU stuff. If you want to share your screen Again, you should be able to share it now while we're working on this question here.
Okay.
Are you working on a posterior mount high activity foot for pediatrics?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, can you ask the question one more time?
Absolutely. Are you working on a posterior mount high activity foot for pediatrics?
I am not aware of that. I mean, we have a list of projects that's, I don't want to say it's ever changing, but we kind of, it's pretty fluid, you know, as we release product and we just the evolution of the industry, and I'm sure this pandemic will certainly affect some things. But I am not aware of that on the list. We certainly, I'm actually taking notes, so we can certainly take that information back to our corporate office and our engineers, and certainly at least have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And that looks like all of the questions that are coming through for now. Just to say again, you will be getting the email with the link to take the CEU quiz about an hour after we end here. You must pass with 80%. Once you do, you will get an email with a certificate stating that you did pass for that course. We will submit to the ABC automatically for you. For state licensure and BOC, you can take that certificate that we email you, submit to those boards to get your credits. And Matthew, if you just want to go ahead to the next one, we will talk about next week's Freedom Hour. So if you were on here in the beginning, Eric did mention this. For next week, we have Bethany Nelson. She's a PT and a DPT, and she's going to be talking about using outcome measures for prosthetic prescription. So she's going to talk about how PTs use outcome measures to help with prosthesis prescriptions, and how you can use outcome measures in your office and with your prosthetic care team for justification of componentry to the payer. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you guys, you can sign up on our website. If you go to freedom-innovations.com, you can just click the events tab and sign up there, and you can see what we have coming up in the future as well. So it looks like that is it for the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Matthew?
No, I apologize for the loss of signal. I definitely, I mean, you know, this kind of further emphasizes how much I miss traveling and being in front of people and teaching, because I don't have situations like this where I lose a signal, but thankfully it was on the last slide, right? It wasn't in the middle. So it's all good. I appreciate you guys' attention, and definitely reach out to, you can reach out to me when in regards to the prosthetic foot prescriptions. If you guys have questions about materials or different feet, also our team of RSMs or sales reps, I'm sure you saw the slide with the pictures, but we're definitely here to help you guys as much as we can. So I appreciate it.
All right, very good. Everybody keep an eye out for that email, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks, Matthew. Great stuff.
Thanks.
All right, see ya.